Welcome to Prime Space, a Prime Coaching Academy podcast with your host, Elias Scultori. Hello, coaches. How are you doing today? Ready for some exploration? Explore, explore, explore. That is the core of the coaching process. 2 weeks ago, I recorded the podcast, if you remember, on action and the importance of action. In that episode, I mentioned exploration is not enough. We can explore forever, but we really want to support the client into a movement forward, into the application of that exploration. But one thing that I mentioned in that episode is that these two things come together in coaching. We need both. We need exploration. We need movement forward. We need action. So because I spoke about action, I guess it's time for us to talk about exploration. What is so important about exploration? What is so perhaps even innovative about exploration when we come to the coaching process? In coaching, we say that we are not focused on the solution. Coaching is not solution-based. You probably heard me say this many times. And we believe in that because we put our focus on the idea that once the client is able to see their situation, their context more fully, the movement forward, the action, the answer, the solution, whatever the client is seeking, is going to come naturally. It's going to come as a result of that exploration. That's why we want to focus on the discovery part of coaching, so that when the client is ready to set their next steps, they are more informed, not just with data or superficial data, but they are informed about the intrinsic motivators, what is truly happening below the waterline. And that will inform the action, the movement, the answer in a much more substantial way that will support the client into sustaining that insight, that transformation moving forward. So exploration is at the core of coaching. It's where we spend perhaps most of our time in the coaching process, is to allow the client to discover. In this moment of exploration, I would like to point out two different ways to support the client in expanding their horizon. One is what we call exploring what is, exploring their current perspective. So crucial to support the client in looking at how they are perceiving this particular moment and supporting them into going a little deeper. So, what are the important details about the situation? What are the feelings that they have around this, their current feelings, the intrinsic motivators that are propelling them to be and see and act in this particular way? What are their current perspectives? Definitions of specific words. This is such a simple aspect of coaching, but so powerful. The client talks about overwhelm or expectations or rejoicing or stress, whatever is the word. And we simply go and ask the client, what do you mean when you say overwhelm? What do you mean when you say rejoice? What is the meaning of that for you? That is such a simple way to explore the client into going a little deeper and owning that particular word even a little more. This exploration of what is can be really transformative and can really support the client into understanding their way of thinking more broadly and more deeply, and support them into actions moving forward. However, there is another way that we can support the client into evoking awareness, and I'm naming the particular competency here. And utilizing the words that we have in one of these ICF lists, I would like to point out that this way is to support the client in seeing beyond their current thinking. So yes, there is the exploration of what is right now, but there is the idea also of supporting the client into exploring beyond their current perspective. So what does that mean? So I like to say this is to move the client geographically. The client comes to the coaching conversation seeing the situation from one particular point of view. What are questions, observations, insights that we can share with the client that will support them into seeing the situation from a different angle? And perhaps imagine what could be. Notice the desires or the way they would like things to be, their wishes, their goals, what they are aiming for. Put them into a different point of view. There are 3 ways that I think are very effective here. The first one is what I call time travel. Let's go into utilizing Star Trek lingo here, put the client into a different part of the time-space continuum. So perhaps put the client in the future, or perhaps even put the client in the past. Oh, here is the past. Interesting, right? Here's a way that the past can be very effective in coaching, and perhaps it's subject for another episode of Prime Space. Let's say 5 years from now. Well, where would you like to be? How do you see this situation happening tomorrow? How did you see this situation when you were a teenager? As a kid, what were your desires? Right? So right there, putting the client into a different time zone or time space supports the client into, when I retired, this is what I want to this is where I want to be. Then I will not have the stresses that I have today, and therefore the situation is different. Oh, and that informs me on how to act today. Oh, as a kid, this didn't matter. What makes it matter now? Right? So support the client into looking from different ways within the time-space continuum, for lack of a better term here, and be able to see the situation differently. The second way is to bring others into the conversation. So what does your direct report think about this situation? How does your spouse feel about this? What would Martin Luther King do here? And you can even bring historical figures that resonate with the client in their particular context, right? And then you listen and pay attention to a language that is going to resonate with the client. But bring other perspectives, other people. What would your grandmother say about this? So you bring different personas and different individuals into the conversation. The client is able to say, oh, yes, this other person would see it differently, and I can learn from that other perspective. Another way to do this is to support the client into utilizing their own resources. We say that each one of us, every human being, has 3 brains: the head, the heart, and the gut. Some clients operate more into the heart. They are a more feeling person. So what is the logic behind this situation? What would be the concrete step to take here? Or what is your immediate response to this situation? Bring the instincts of the client in that particular moment. Or if a client is much more logical and thinking person, bring the feelings, bring the instinct. So support the client to see the situation utilizing these other resources that they have within them to broaden the horizon for the client. So these are 3 areas that we can explore with the client: time travel, the perspective of others, and these 3 brains that the client has. And these are possibilities, enriches the repertoire of questions that we can bring to the client that will support them in invoking awareness and being able to open the window of what they see, and be able to then be more informed in the actions and the movements that they want for themselves after the session is over. So I would encourage you, play with this, see what is appropriate in the coaching conversation, and support the client. Ask questions about right now. Ask questions about their current thinking, to explore their current thinking, but also ask questions that will support the client beyond what they see right now by perhaps utilizing these 3 areas that I just shared here with you today. Okay? And let me know. Write me an email and tell me, how is that happening in your coaching conversations, and what are the results that you're noticing happening within your client system? I want to point out that right now at Prime Coaching Academy, we have registration open for our level 1 and level 2 cohorts. They are happening and starting in just a few more weeks. So please reach out to us. We would love to work with you and share these concepts a little bit more in depth with you, and partner with you in your coach training and your coaching development. Okay? Otherwise, everyone, please check our YouTube channel and share this with others. And I will talk to you next week. Take care.